Vladimir Putin should be treated just as he is, a criminal wanted by the ICC, not a legitimate leader of the Russian Federation. This is someone who will, in a couple of weeks, yet again reappoint himself president of the Russian Federation. During a procedure that will be called election in Russia and has indeed nothing to do with the real, actual electoral process in any normal democratic country.
Russia's most prominent opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, died in one 2 weeks ago. After his death, British-Russian opposition leader Vladimir Kara-Murza has become perhaps the most well-known imprisoned opposition leader. He was sentenced to 25 years in a Siberian penal colony in 2023. Evgenia Kara-Murza has been fighting to get her husband out of prison for almost 2 years and will be meeting with the Foreign Secretary David Cameron tomorrow. She joins us now in the studio. Morning to you, Evgenia.
Good morning. Thanks for having me here.
It's a great pleasure. Tell us about your husband. How is he doing? What's the latest you've heard about him?
Well, he's been in solitary confinement of a punishment cell since last September. They moved him from one colony to another one, but he still is in solitary confinement. That's a cell that measures a couple of meters by a couple of meters, with a bed that is affixed to the wall, and a backless stool is the only piece of furniture there. He's in complete isolation from the outside world. He has not even seen the colony he's been kept in because he never left that solitary confinement. Other than that, he gets an hour and a half of reading or writing a day, which means that pen and paper are brought to him for 90 minutes a day. And he does not get to keep even his kids' pictures or their drawings. The only things that he gets to keep are his toothbrush and his mug. That is it.
Are you worried he might go mad? Because this is a terrible torture, solitary confinement. And you're talking about what is a prolonged, protracted torture that he's undergoing.
This is absolutely psychological torture that is used by the Russian authorities, and Vladimir is not the only one kept in such conditions. And it looks to me, from working on these cases of political prisoners in Russia, from sort of looking into these cases, it looks like the authorities put in solitary confinement those people who already suffer from some medical conditions. They're kept in such conditions in which their health will only deteriorate even further. And very often these people are not provided any medical treatment. These people are completely isolated from the world, from contact with their loved ones. And Vladimir is definitely not the only one kept in such conditions. Just to name a few, it's Alexei Gorinov, who is suffering from a chronic lung disease and recently almost died from acute bronchitis, and a big public outcry helped save his life. But we realized that with the chronic lung condition, the same thing will happen in a couple of months, and that again and again and again. And there is a number of such political prisoners held in such conditions in Russia today.
Alexei Navalny, the one story about him is that he was kept outside in minus 25 degrees in a way that may well have led towards his death. However, it ended up happening. When you heard of the news of Navalny's death, what did you think? What did you think about what it meant for your husband as well?
Well, first of all, I want to say that this was a murder. This was a political assassination. Whatever ends up on his death certificate, whether it was yet again done by poison, and I don't think that anyone forgot that Alexei Navalny was poisoned before he was thrown in jail. Just like my husband, who survived 2 assassination attacks through poisoning in 2015 and 2017, and actually the same team of FSB operatives was involved in all of those cases. So whether it was done by poison, or because he was beaten up, or because the conditions in which he had been kept for 3 years led to him dying from that, it was still a murder. It was still something done with premeditation. And I believe that this regime is the regime of murders, and Alexei Navalny's murder is not the first one. Another Russian opposition leader, Boris Nemtsov, was assassinated in Moscow in 2015 in front of the Kremlin walls. Yeah. Novaya Gazeta, a Nobel Peace Laureate, Nobel Peace Prize laureate, lost 6 employees to political assassination over the years. My husband survived 2 assassination attacks on him before he was thrown in prison for 25 years. This is a regime of murderers who has been leading a war of aggression against Ukraine for 2 years. The war that is led with those war crimes being committed there. So,
and what can be done about that? I mean, this is the question. You're seeing Cameron tomorrow. What can the West do? Do you think the West is doing enough to stop Putin running a regime of murderers?
You know, Yulia Navalny, the widow, and it even sounds wrong when I say that. Alexei was someone who loved life in all, just loved life. And to imagine him dead is still, I still have difficulties to come to terms with that. So Yulia Navalny spoke at the European Parliament, and she called Vladimir Putin's regime, she called him the leader of an organized crime group. And I completely agree with her. Vladimir Putin should be treated just as he is, a criminal wanted by the ICC, not a legitimate leader of the Russian Federation. This is someone who will, in a couple of weeks, yet again reappoint himself president of the Russian Federation during the procedure that will be called election in Russia and has indeed nothing to do with the real, actual electoral process in any normal democratic country. So Vladimir Putin is a usurper and a criminal, and he should be dealt with accordingly.
Do you worry that you might never see your husband again?
Listen, twice in 2 years, I saw my husband in a coma with a multiple organ failure, and both times he was given a 5% chance of survival in 2015 and 2017. Now, for 2 years, he's been held in prison, behind bars, in a punishment cell by the same people who tried to kill him twice in the past. Literally by the same people who tried to kill him in the past. And when I used to, when I continued Vladimir's work after his detention, and I was speaking about political prisoners to politicians around the world, very often I would hear in response, but, well, Putin would not kill them. They are too high profile. Alexei, Vladimir, or, a few others who are known around the world. Vladimir Putin would not kill them. He, that's like too much. Why would he? He keeps them imprisoned. That's enough. He isolated them from the world. And when I would say in response that, well, he assassinated Boris Nemtsov in front of the Kremlin walls, again, this did not seem to drive the message in. It was not enough. Now, tomorrow, when I'm meeting Lord Cameron, Alexei Navalny will be buried in Moscow. There will be a funeral, and the authorities are doing everything to prevent this funeral from being held in the way Alexei's family wants it to be held. They want to deprive those millions and millions of Russians even of the possibility to say goodbye to Alexei. And actually, their initial plan was to bury him in that prison colony somewhere, in secrecy. Yeah. So the urgency of the plight of political prisoners, I think, is clear today.
I think that's right. You're a very brave woman, Evgenia. You've got a very brave husband as well. Thank you for the time for talking to us.
Thank you very much.
That's Evgenia Kara-Murza there in the studio talking about her husband. She's going to see David Cameron tomorrow.